Hey, you random stranger! The day has finally arrived for us to suffer through whatever it is that the last episode of season 1 of Made in Abyss has in store. Before diving in, though, I wanted to reiterate my appreciation for you for watching this with me the entire way through. I have learned so much from you guys, and there have been some fascinating discussions in the comments. Made in Abyss surprisingly turned out to be this great springboard from which to think about morality and that perennial debate around fate or destiny versus human choice, especially after the last episode. But, even if you don't leave any comments, just know that I appreciate you being here all the same. So, a few extra thoughts about the last episode. When it was revealed that the force field acts as a sort of lifeblood for the abyss and effectively enables it to sense anything and everything that moves within it, I then went on to spend an inordinate amount of time reading through these National Geographic articles about mimic predators, including carnivorous plants. And how they sense, lure, and then trap their prey. And the more I read, the more it just fit in with the way that the abyss has been set up in the story. So I'll read something from a zoologist in an article that I found, who also interestingly was a former psychologist as well. So on mimic predators, she said they practice a form of deception that we call aggressive mimicry. Or, in other words, an animal, or in some cases a plant, pretends to be another animal to dupe and lure prey close enough for chomping. The animal sends out a signal that is beneficial to the sender but disadvantageous to the receiver. And then they go on to talk about how these hunters play mind games with their prey. When I read that, I thought, that fits in so well with what we found out from Nanachi about how conscious and, in a way, actively hunting the abyss really is. There were also a couple of comments that pointed out this creature-like, predator-like characteristic, which I think is what actually made me look deeper into this in the first place. Yeah, both Antonio and Alexander Zuno said that if you look at the map of the abyss, which I did for ages, some of the layers start like taking on the form of a head with eyes and this big gaping mouth. And I agree, it's just like, it's one of those things that once you see, you can't unsee. And Jung as well, going back to how similar the abyss is to a carnivorous plant. So they wrote, I really like the theory going around that the abyss is basically a giant pitcher plant, luring in its prey with sweet smells, the artifacts, and becomes harder to leave the deeper you go until you reach a point of no return. And I was turning this over in my head a lot because for most of the first half of the season, there's been this idea that humans are the ones pushing the boundaries and exploring the unknown and cave raiding for glory and all of that, which is true. But I feel like we've also now confirmed this additional, more ominous element, suggesting that the humans who go down into the abyss are just as much prey as they are predator. What really blew my mind was that the mechanics of a pitcher plant are eerily similar to those of the abyss. And I think there are 3 main things that bear that out, which I'm going to lay down for you guys now to see what you think. Point 1, as Arjun pointed out, pitcher plants consume insects by luring them into often these cylindrical, or shall we say abyss-shaped leaves, using things like sweet nectar or nice scents and, colors. And I feel those lures are directly comparable to what the abyss uses, which, on top of the precious artifacts that are there to be discovered and the general beauty of the layers, includes psychological lures. The very lures that humans are so weak against, things like the promise of fame and fortune, as well as our fear of being insignificant and wasting our lives away and not having accomplished anything great. And going back to what the zoologist slash psychologist said, it's the ultimate mind game, right? Not only are you drawn in by all of the above, but the further down you go, the stronger the hallucinations get. Point 2. So the meticulously designed structure of a pitcher plant is such that it allows it to catch insects without any moving parts. And if you think about it, the abyss is literally just a hole in the ground. Before human discovery, it just sat there doing nothing or doing its own thing, minding its own business. Even after the humans came and progressively built up that gargantuan city of Orth, all the abyss had to do was sit there and just be fed by this bustling of human activity that is entirely devoted to sending down people and resources and hopes and dreams down into it. And this paradoxical idea of such a passive predator being so aggressive in its consumption of human endeavor, all the while without the humans really knowing too much about it, is pretty scary. Third and final point, so back to the pitcher plants. Insects that are lured in are forced to walk down on this like slippery vertical surface in order to get to the nectar. Usually, or almost always, they fall down to the bottom into this pool of water where they either get drowned or they die of exhaustion trying to escape. And it is almost impossible for them to escape. One, because of the slippery surface, but also the inside of the plant have these downward pointing hairs. And I mean, if that isn't exactly what Nanachi described about the abyss being this one-way trap, I don't know what is. I do think that that predator element of the abyss was always there from the beginning, especially with the kinds of things that people like Harbo and Ozen and the narrator, which is Liza, would say about the abyss, claiming its own and, you know, imposing its will onto you. So yeah, this biological rabbit hole about the parallels between the abyss and giant predator plants was pretty awesome to go down, so thanks for those comments. The other huge thing that we know more about now is the force field and how it actually works, to which I want to thank Shodan 1 for explaining it in an easy to understand way. They wrote, imagine it as a weightless fog, always present and in the air around you. Every movement, every breath, every bit of body language can cause the fog to push in the direction it's being pushed. To creatures that have evolved in the abyss, they see the fog and the movements around everything. They then go on to explain what Nanachi meant by saying it can predict the future. So basically, by reading your every little movement via the force field, the abyss, and by extension the creatures, can see the movements you are making faster than you actually are making the movements. So I guess in order to defeat those creatures, you have to introduce some element of unpredictability, which is what Nanashi was doing when they told Reg to look up, but then to move in a completely different direction. Interestingly, unpredictability is perhaps the one thing that humans have an advantage over the abyss on, because while the force field makes the abyss fairly omniscient, its ability to predict is still, I guess, restricted by the calculus of physical movements, however small. And as Reg and Nanashi proved, humans do have the capacity to deceive the deceiver, so to speak. Again, Reg is not human per se, but for all intents and purposes, actually, he is both unaffected by the curse and also possesses the inherent traits of a human, including the ability to hide his intentions. So I guess he really is the ultimate weapon against the abyss, as an Orbaid would be. The other thing that Marco Helm pointed out about the force field and the curse is that it actually reaches up to the edge of the crater above Orth. So back in episode 1, when Rico took Reg up to see the view of the city, you can see that she gets exhausted just from that little hike up there. Yeah, so thank you for pointing that out, because it helped explain what I was wondering, which is, why did Kiwi immediately feel better after leaving the island where the crater is? It also reinforces or proves again the obsession of the people of Orth with the abyss, that they would rather live with the effects of the abyss for a shot at making it big as a cave raider, or at least, to profit from the entire cave raiding economy, than to just leave so as to get rid of the effects of the curse altogether. Which is kind of crazy, I thought, but then is it really crazy? I mean, we do in the real world, we do all sorts of crazy things to participate in and make it in the modern economy. People sacrifice all sorts of things. Their time, their mental health, their youth, relationships, just to make it big. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. That was just like a additional thought. It's getting a little bit too real. Finally, what are my expectations for this episode? Other than the pain, I expect some of the revolving puzzle pieces that have been planted all throughout the season to start falling into place. Maybe not necessarily be fully resolved, but they will start falling into place in a way that re-emphasizes this idea of the abyss being this giant predator that twists the minds of all who dare challenge it, and really turns them into victims of their own ambitions. I think that would include Bondrewd, whom we still have to meet, and I think we will definitely meet in this episode. I don't know if I can say I'm looking forward to it, but only because I know that we will discover whatever it is, the terrible things he did to Mitty and to Nanachi. I don't think we'll see Liza this season, but I do expect we'll get a reveal about the relationship she had with Reg and know more about the reason he came up to the upper layers of the abyss in the first place. Alright guys, it's time. I know there's going to be so much to talk about after this episode, so let's bite the bullet and jump into it. I do have a drink next to me on standby just in case I need it. Okay, so if you guys are good to go, let's do this in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, this song. Oh, it's flashbacks. And that's how the abyss gets you. Oh god, is he gonna do it? I don't think he can. He's not capable of murdering someone in cold blood. Never say that to anyone. I feel like, and they're only asking because they can't do it themselves, even though they know it's probably the best thing. It's kind of like putting an animal out of misery. I'm not an animal, I used to be a child. I'm a bit nervous, guys. Okay. Preemptive drink. I did keep also thinking about the eternal fortunes, and I've said before that I feel like they're possibly the only symbol of hope in this show. And I don't know what their connection to Liza is specifically. I don't know. I'm hoping that when they do eventually meet with Liza or see Liza, that it's not all bad. I don't know. So the eternal optimist in me. I know it's going to be terrible. She's probably turned into a creature of the. Oh, that last image with Liza and Rico. That was so nice. That's right. He's passed out. What are they gonna make Reg do? Maybe they're gonna take Reg and force him to destroy Bondrude? Oh, no, is this whole episode the story of Nanachi and Midi? It looks like another orphanage somewhere else in North. I'm so grubby and underdressed. That's gotta be freezing in that snow. Oh my goodness, how often have we heard that before? It's like it's time we explore new, exciting ways to do this, like human experimentation. Oh my god, like, it's gonna offer themselves as tribute. He is soulless, Bondrewd is. Just exploiting kids. Oh, that's Mitty, isn't it? Oh my god. She's so cute. Isn't that real deep? But they're just kids. Where is he getting these kids from? I feel like the orphanage that Rico was at would never allow this to happen. Oh my god, they're just like bait. It's that same dream to become a white whistle and to go down into the abyss. It's like Nat. Shikana Midi, if this is Midi, really reminds me of Rico. That eternal optimism. Oh, The exuberance and the very social nature. Ah, yeah. Oh, that's layer 7, isn't it? Wait, so they're going to the Sea of Corpses, which is the 5th layer, like going directly down in this um like machine. And he's just directing them using the walkie-talkie. I hate him already. This is awful. Oh, that looks like the line in his helmet, actually. That purple laser looking light. Oh, he's down there with them. Okay. It's like circle of life thing. Taking comfort in the fact that your life will go on to someone else. That there is some value in you going down to the abyss, even if you do lose your life. Man, this faith stuff is real laid on real thick. Oh my god. No. Oh, this explains why Nanachi can't kill Midi herself. They're like best friends, a family. Oh, I hate how his voice is actually very soothing and comforting, but it's just pure evil. From overseas. He doesn't give a shit. they're just they're just meat, right? I don't want to fight. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, Those sound effects in the background. He's not even hiding the fact that they're performing tests on children. Oh my god, no, you don't. He's trying to fuse them together? Such smooth words to justify kid mutilation. Whoa, wait. The curse we've directed to her side. It's all the other kids. I don't want to watch this. Oh, come on. I just... Oh my god. I can't get the sound of her face splitting apart out of my head. That's a fate even worse than death. Oh, I can't do this. Oh my god, 9 times. So he did that 9 times, and every time he hacked off her limbs to test her limb regrowth. I can't do this, guys. I can't do this. I can't do this. Oh my god. Oh, what's happening to her? Oh, he's trying to like. She's trying to like transfuse blood over to Mitty to make her human again. Oh no, because she can't die. She's immortal. That's why she needs Reg. Oh my god. That's him. Yep. Well, I mean, even if she hasn't, condemning her to that existence is the worst possible thing. There's a soul. Her soul is trapped inside. Yeah. They should send Bondry down 10 billion times for this. Oh, Ray, come on. I mean, oh my god, I don't. It's not really strange. It's actually really reasonable. I think they'd want to die as well. It's like 100 times worse than I was thinking. I wonder if Mitty can sense that Rico is on the same path as her and is like trying to warn her not to do it, not to go down there. I can't. The emotional dissonance with this music and all this talk about cooking and having a meal like everything's normal. Oh no. Oh man, just go vegetarian, dudes. Eh. There's that word again, irredeemable. I wonder if he has Liza's soul inside him. A little bit. I don't know. Are they reading a story? I remember in the previous episode, Rico actually had a dream about someone staring out from Mitty's eye. God, oh, the slithering sounds and how can you exist like this? I don't know, Ray, come on, you gotta make a decision, mate. I do understand that it is so difficult, though. It's also incredibly sad that Nanachi's existence is also driven entirely by their mission to kill their best friend. And if it wasn't Mitty, it would have been Nanachi. Like, it was pure chance that Nanachi made it out there. You gotta do it, right? You have to keep living. Yeah. How long is this episode? It's like all the you put out all your toys on the baby thing. That like baby thing where it's got all the toys hanging from the ceiling. Oh my god, it's like a pier where you burn dead bodies, but in this case they're still alive. those flowers. Oh my god, are we gonna see her like right at the last second? Oh my god. Oh, Liza. My god. And now he's getting a flashback. She's so nice. Oh my god, Rico is awake. Is this real? God, needed something good. Yeah? Why is it? What's dangerous? Like moving too much after amputation? It's a very understated reunion. They're very close, Rico and Nanachi. Control your human. Eh. That was a super random, weird moment. So is that it with the MIDI story? And is Nanachi okay now? I thought there'd be like a longer kind of period where they have to deal with the trauma of killing their best friend. But I guess they do have to keep the story moving. Oh my god. Please let that be the worst moment and that we're past that. I don't know if I can handle any more. It's so strange. It's like everything is back to how it was before. Oh, okay. But as we know, nothing can ever go back to how it used to be. Because of the dream that or vision that she had. Oh my gosh, there's that purple line again. Is this what Mitty is feeling this whole time? That's why Mitty liked her so much. Somehow they were communicating through Mitty's condition. Wait, or is it because of Rico's connection to the abyss? She could sense everything even when Mitty was destroyed because of that connection? Yeah. Oh, I think one of you should go with them. Overly stimulating, meaning Nanachi just enjoying the view. To playing matchmaker. No, what's gonna come out of the water? Well, I mean, Nanachi wouldn't purposely put them in any danger, but... Oh, man. I mean, it's natural. Natural biological function. Nanachi is enjoying this way too much. I wonder if it kills Nanachi to see them like that. Yeah. So, doesn't that. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Yep, those mushrooms. Oh, I don't want to watch this. How did they just jump right into that? Please, there's just no warning, no nothing. Wow. They reattached the hand. It's just, it definitely gives more depth to why Nanachi jumped in to help. Even though at first they weren't going to. Would they want to go back down though? After all of that. I do feel like though that they still have this idea of ending their life somehow though to join MIDI, you know? Nanashi was referring to the city of the unreturned, right? Sorry, I forgot what it was exactly. That's the 6th layer. Sorry, I think before I said it was the 7th layer. Oh, they're actually trying to send a message back up. Although Nat did say all of the messages that aren't from White Whistles get ignored, right? But I'm sure they'll. I wonder if they'll show us the kids at the top getting the message. Remember the good old days when I thought Ozen was the worst thing ever? Maruk. Oh my goodness, what is that? Look at that smile. Gosh, this montage. Again. Oh. For a second there, I was like, MIDI? But no. That's. I do remember that. Corpse Sweeper. This hopeful music again is just so dissonant with everything that we just saw with the kids and Bondrude. Who's gonna pick it up first? The leader? It's not. The Shiggy? Again, it's those those are the petals of the eternal fortunes, are they not? It's every time there's like a little bit of hope, they kind of appear. Damn. It's always a little breathtaking when you see Orth from the aerial view. What is that? Does that not resemble MIDI? Like MIDI's split face and the eyes? There's more. How how is he monitoring the kids' lives? Oh, I guess he definitely he must have attached some sort of I don't know, ECG monitor or something, or implanted it in their bodies. Oh man, okay. I need some time to think and recover. Okay. The first thing I'd like to say is that I both hate and I love those of you who recommended me to watch Made in Abyss. Child experimentation and mutilation is the worst of the worst of the worst. And I had a tiny inkling that that was sort of where we were headed. There is nothing that prepares you for when the full visuals and the sound effects of a child essentially being ripped apart, as well as the element of absolute human indifference, is all blasted at you full speed. But yeah, let's rewind a bit. My overall feeling about this last episode was that what I said before watching it, that it would reinforce the way that the abyss turns people into the victims of their own ambitions. I think that was shown very clearly again, first in what happened to Mitty and really all of the kids who thought that they were going on this great adventure down into the bottom layers of the abyss, something that they'd probably wanted their entire lives. But instead, they ended up as test subjects and trapped in their own, not even bodies anymore, just painful, mutilated lumps of flesh. So basically, they all turned into a whole bunch of hollows. But also, I feel to Bondrewd as well, even though he is totally the tyrant and the deceiver and a murderous psychopath, it's clear that the abyss has also worked its charms, if you will, on his mind and has completely obliterated any humanity that he had in him. Ironically, the guy who has absolutely no humanity is forcing these kids to lose theirs in an instant and in the most horrific way possible. Also, the fact that we were told that it's common practice to kill hollows just out of mercy, but he clearly wasn't doing that. He was actually tracking how long they would survive down there as hollows, which is just, I don't know, man. That guy needs to be hauled before the International Criminal Court. Anyway, look, I think it's possible that Bondrewd was born a psychopath, and so he just kind of naturally took to those kinds of crimes against humanity. But my gut feeling is that his mind has been just as worked on by the abyss as anyone else, if not more. Because as a white whistle, he would have spent the longest time down in the lower layers. I do wonder why it is that he keeps his face hidden behind that mask, the one that is like a spitting image of that like purple shaft that he used to send the kids down to the 6th layer. He most likely has been through some mutilations himself, which is why he has to keep his face covered. What else? You know, for all of the awful things that this episode had, I am glad, however short it was and how awful the end was, that we did get to see Mitty as she used to be. Like I said before, it was striking how very similar she was to Rico in terms of how much she wanted to become a white whistle and her friendliness and her immediate latching on to Nanachi, who's a bit more reserved, so kind of like Reg, and clearly had had a terrible childhood and was teased mercilessly by the other kids. As to what was actually happening when Bondrewd sent Mitty and Nanachi down in those two see-through chambers, and I didn't rewatch the scene. I just couldn't, not now. But my understanding is that he had devised a way for the curse in one cylinder to be transferred over to the other cylinder, such that Mitty ended up suffering a double hit of the curse while Nanachi stayed relatively intact. And I say relatively because obviously the curse wasn't able to be completely mitigated. I thought it was fascinating, this idea that Bondrewd sort of hinted at, which is that it probably worked so well, and so well in that at least one of them retained their humanity because of their strong personal connection to each other. It sounded like then that the others had failed because one of the subjects would die on the way up, and so the other one would be subject to, you know, the same fate of becoming a hollow. But because Midi, I think, was so determined to protect Nanachi, like before, Bondrin had warned her not to die, otherwise the curse would hit Nanachi equally. And it was because of Midi's persistence that Nanachi was able to make it through, which is, I don't even have words for that. It's so touching and also so unspeakably awful. And so I think even if Nanachi had found a way that would allow them to kill Midi on their own, I don't know if they could have done it. There are like two sounds that I cannot get out of my head right at this moment. The first was the sound of Midi being torn apart by the curse. And the second is Nanachi screaming for Midi right after Reg put an end to their life. I think the English translation for what Nanachi called Midi was like my treasure, which is again what the narrator foreshadowed right at the beginning when they said that there are some treasures that we can never find again. Oh, okay, I need a break. No, I have a few more thoughts to say and then I'll take a break. So Reg made Nanachi promise not to take their own life as soon as Midi was gone. And I thought that was really sweet that he did that, even though at the time I wasn't confident at all that Nanachi would ever find peace or be able to live with everything that they'd already gone through. But something that gave me a little, like, tiny smidge of hope was what happened when Rico woke up. So the good news is Rico is finally awake, and it was such a relief to see her up and about and back to her old antics again. The most important thing, though, was the dream that she had, which I thought was hugely significant and actually might have given Nanachi some modicum of peace and probably even stopped her from committing suicide. The reason I think that is because, one, Rico recalled seeing or sensing rather a girl that was even more frightened than she was, and I think that was clearly indicative of the abyss sensing Midi's soul still trapped inside her mutilated body. Also, Rico said something strange about how she had a feeling that she would see Midi again even after the crying had stopped, so after Midi had been destroyed by Reg. She then went on to say that she saw Midi's profile and that she left, or implying that she was going somewhere. This possibly means that Midi's soul was both put to rest and then released and is going on a journey, but a journey to where? And if you recall the discussion about the abyssal faith that Midi and Nanachi had also at the beginning of the episode, so the belief is that the soul of the dead person travels to the bottom of the earth and then returns to someone else who wishes to live. Also recall that right before Midi turned into human mulch, she asks Nanachi that even if she turns into something that's not human, to please let her soul return to Nanachi. So putting all of that together, if one was to subscribe to this abyssal faith and on hearing what Rico said happened in her dream, I think that would give Nanachi both the reassurance that it was the right decision to ask Reg to kill Midi, and also the motivation to continue living so that Midi's soul can return to her. I do like how they tied in their beliefs about the soul and where it goes after someone dies, or like a cave raider dies, even though I'm not sure if that's actually what happens. And it in no way erases all of the horror of what happened to those kids. But in any case, it does still offer a little bit of comfort for the soul. So what comes next? I guess the movie Dawn of the Deep Soul, which I am told is a continuation of this episode. And given how I reacted to this episode, I'm not sure how I'm gonna survive a movie-length version of something like this, especially if they expand on Bondrewd and the nature of the experiments that he's been conducting in the name of science and progress. But yes, that will be next. I will make myself watch it, so please watch out for that. in the meantime, I'm gonna go take a long walk and try to restore my faith in humanity. Once again, though, thank you again for watching Made in Abyss with me. It really, honestly, would not have been as good without a cool bunch of people to bounce my thoughts off of and to learn things from that I never would have thought of on my own. So I really hope you have a great rest of the week or weekend, and I also hope you enjoy something that reminds you that humanity and life is not all that bad. Also, Bondred can go straight to the seventh circle of hell. Anyway, until next time, guys, take care.